Hello, I'm going to share with you some details about the data platform that I've been building here at Spin. This comes from a deck that was shared internally with the team, so I've had to make some changes to protect client data. To start off with, we're just going to take a little step back and have a look at how pixels track conversions, and then we'll have a look at our data platform and how we use it in Google Data Studio. Let's jump in. So how do pixels track conversions? An ad platform serves an ad to a user. The user clicks the ad. And then when the user does something that we care about, so view a page, add to cart, begin a checkout, install an app, whatever the case may be, the website sends via the pixel back to the ad platform to say, hey, this user has made a purchase. And the ad platform says, okay, if I can find that person and match them to an ad that's been served and the attribution windows are within what we've agreed upon, which is generally the person has seen an ad within 24 hours of doing the thing, or they have clicked an ad and taken an action within 7 days, then I'm going to credit that event to an ad in my platform. So user clicks an ad, 2 days later, they go to the website, they make a purchase. The ad platform's going to say, hey, this campaign is responsible for that conversion. But the problem with this approach is that then you've got a single and quite imperfect source of data for making your decisions. What we really want to have is 2 or more sources of data. Then we can say, okay, here's what the ad platform thinks happened. Here's what my backend says happened. And we can determine whether our actions are having the desired results by looking at multiple points of view. So platform data is just looking inside the ad platforms themselves. So Facebook Ads Manager, Google Ads Manager, TikTok, et cetera, It's a perfectly fine place to start, but you're only looking at it through one lens and you're really blind to what's happening in the broader business by doing it that way. The reporting options are also, I would say, inflexible. Spotting trends and segmenting your data in ways that are specific to your business are difficult or impossible. And in general, those ad platforms are slow, buggy, and not much fun. A lot of people end up in this middle stage here, which is Supermetrics or something similar to that, which can collect the data from the platforms and bring them to somewhere that's useful to you, like Google Sheets, Data Studio, Excel, etc. And this is a good middle step. This is definitely better than not doing it because it allows us to collect Google Ads cost data and Meta cost data and TikTok cost data and bring them all into one place. That's great. It generally doesn't do much in the way of allowing us to transform the data in any meaningful way, which I can go into in a little bit. And if you are importing it into Google Sheets, you're going to hit some scale problems. There's only so much data that can be handled in Google Sheets, much as I love it. And if you're using the direct Data Studio integration, it's super slow because Supermetrics has to go and collect that data from the APIs of each ad platform and bring it into Data Studio every time you make a change to your date filters or whatever. And they can get to the point where they are unusable. And that's certainly what led us to this next stage, which is an ETL and data warehouse. Effectively, it means similar to Supermetrics, we collect the data, but now we have a place to transform the data and clean it and get it into a shape that we find to be usable. And then we store it in a data warehouse, which is a database that's specifically designed for storing large volumes of data. The key part to this is it's super scalable, and the transformation layer is really what sets this apart. So I can show you what some of that means as well. It's also super duper fast. So Data Studio and BigQuery, which is what we use, connect together really nicely, and it's just really fast. So what's an ETL? It's not a BLT. It is this. So it's extract. So we get data from ad platforms, Google Sheets, CSVs, whatever the case may be. We transform that data. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. And then we load that data into a data warehouse. In our case, Google BigQuery. So our data architecture looks like this. We have platform data. So I haven't listed every platform, but we've got Meta, Geo, etc. And then we've got first-party data. So this is where a client will supply our data system with their backend data. So for example, if you've got the type of business where a customer becomes a lead and then lots of things happen offline. So for example, you might book a design appointment to go and design a kitchen. Many, many, many other things need to happen in store, phone calls, etc., in order for then you to become a customer. That then is not easily able to be fed back into the ad platforms, but you can supply that data to us and say, well, actually, this percentage of those initial leads turned into actual paying customers according to our backend data, which best represents money in the bank for us. So that is a topic of its own, but really, really, really important. We transform and prepare the data. I'll talk about that in a minute. Oftentimes for us, that means just simply cleaning the data. We inherit a lot of badly made ad accounts, and we need to make sense of that data that's supplied to us. Every 2 hours, that goes into the data warehouse, which is BigQuery, and then from there, we visualize it in Data Studio. We've got about 200 data sources being fed through the system and over 1 billion data cells that are being stored in BigQuery over here. And it's still as fast as the day we first set it up. So what are these transformations I keep going on about? Transformations can come in many shapes and sizes, but one example here on the left is we can say, okay, for this particular ad account, the thing that I care about tracking as a conversion is this. And in some cases, it's a really weird custom conversion that's been set up, like these ones, but others, it's just a standard one like purchases. Then for others, we might say, okay, when we've got a campaign that is named this certain way, then what I want to do is say that campaign is interested in doing this thing. So for this example here, we've got a financial provider where we're saying if the campaign is named in this certain way, then what we're trying to do is generate leads for loans. If it's done in this certain way, what we're trying to do is sell menswear in Germany, whatever the case may be. So these tend to be really quite powerful though, once you get set up, because each business is going to have specific things that matter to them. Measuring commercial outcomes with first-party data, really, really, really important. This is what I was talking about before. This is some actual client data that's applied to us. I've had to obviously anonymize some of it, but we can basically say, okay, this is what's happening in their backend. We then import that in and say, okay, in this case, a loan was issued, or in this case, some other action has taken place. So that allows us to basically track overall business performance and what part of it we believe that we have influenced. So that's such a big step change from just simply looking at how did my ad do to how is the business doing. So the data that we get from these ad platforms comes in, we transform it and normalize it into these metrics and dimensions here. So this is all designed to make analysis easier for the media buyer. And instead of using Facebook Ads Manager, let's use the tools that are available to you as a result of this system. Here's a report that I went and built on a screen share with the team. I suppose maybe just briefly a couple of the design decisions on the reports that we do. We have what's called a scorecard. So this will show us just what happened in a particular time range. And then we've got a trend. So this is a longer trend and this is not affected by the date picker. So we can say, okay, how are things doing? Generally speaking, account details. So then we've started to add some filters, some trends and a drill down in there. Oh, and creative reporting, this is a really interesting one, actually. So lots of filters. You can click a list. You can see an ad. We can optionally see a trend. We can see where that ad has spent. We can see if it's up or down over a timeline, etc. There are limits that you will reach if you only get to the middle stage of that data maturity. So considering how you might move over to a data warehouse is worth doing if you're a brand that has a lot of complex channels, or if you're an agency that has many different clients. Funnel is a good option. There are others like Airbyte that are definitely worth considering, but careful about rolling your own. These things are more complicated than what they might seem. So hopefully that's useful. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. I'm happy to run through further details if there are specific questions. Cheers.